So when we're teaching algebra, I begin by talking about the language of algebra and how the symbols translate to words that we have in English. And something that's really familiar to us is the equal sign, and we don't think about what it means. So if we have 2 plus 3 equals 5 on the board, and we ask them, well, what does the equal sign mean? We even learn our tables as 2 plus 3 is 5. But that symbol means something different. It means what's on one side has the same value as what's on the other side. So 2 plus 3 has the same value as 5. So when we're teaching algebra, we use the scales or weighing scales to get that concept across. And we're always talking about balance, and what's on one side has to have the same value as what's on the other side. Any changes we make to one side, we also have to make to the other side, because we have to keep that equals true. That if that equal sign is there, there's got to be balance there. The other thing for tutors to keep in mind is not to start algebra until the students are very familiar with all the concepts that they need to use in algebra. So it's really important that they're already very familiar with the order of operations, with the distributive property, and with divisibility and factors. So I think it's really important to make sure they fully understand all those concepts before beginning algebra at all. So when we actually get to teaching algebra, I think that it's really good to get the students into good habits from the beginning, and to organise their work on the page in a certain way, and that you organise your work on the board in the same way. So I found what works best is working down the page rather than working across the page. Also only ever making one change on one line. And I think the use of colour is hugely important. So anytime I make a change or take something away from each side, I use a different colour to do that and do it underneath. And the students start to follow the same process and use the same methods on the page, and it just makes things much more clear to them what's happening, and that logical process works much better for them then. So understanding something is really, really important, and traditionally when we all learned maths, we were shown a process to use and we use it, whereas then when you come to a more difficult problem, if you can't copy a process, you get stuck. So it's really important that the students understand the concept that they're doing rather than just following a procedure or following rules. So a lot of us know the phrase of bring it to the other side and change the sign, and that I don't like to use at all in the classroom, because that's not following the logical process of algebra. That's actually using shortcuts, and it's putting 3 steps in one go. It's fine if the students become so familiar with algebra they start to do it themselves, but I never show it as part of my teaching. So I think it's extremely important to never use shortcuts on the board and never use shortcuts in the teaching, and to do it step by step so they understand the process that's going on, and then they can deal with the more difficult problems themselves.